Here I have 12 images that were generated using DALL-E, and I want to put these images on a poster. The trouble is the color of all these different images doesn't really match. So for example, the image of the tightrope walkers in the upper right is kind of pink. The image of the airplane on the bottom row is basically black and white. Some of the images like the tools and the chessboard are kind of too dark. So what I want to do is go through all these images and adjust their colors and their brightness so they all kind of match. So let's start with that one with the tightrope walkers. So when I select that layer that is the image of the tightrope walkers, then from the layer menu, I choose new adjustment layer, and the kind of adjustment layer I want is hue and saturation. When this modal appears, it's important to check the box that says to use the previous layer to create the clipping mask. So that will cause the adjustment layer to be applied to just this image. So in the upper right here, you can see the graphical interface for the hue and saturation adjustment layer. It just so happens there's a preset that would work really well here. These images are kind of sepia toned, so I'm going to lean into that and choose the sepia preset. Here you can see 3 sliders, and to be honest, the easiest thing to do is just experiment. So if we start sliding the hue around, you can see that obviously some of these positions are going to be no good. The original position, which was sort of under the orange color, is basically what we want. And then the saturation is going to decide how much of that color we're getting. And I think actually we might need a little more. And then you can adjust the brightness as well. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's do another one now. The airplane in the bottom row looks basically black and white, and so I'd like to bring in a little bit of that sepia tone look. So I'll do the same thing, click the airplane, and in the layer menu, choose adjustment layer, a hue and saturation layer. Make sure to check the box to have the adjustment layer apply to only this image. And then I'm just going to adjust these dials a bit. All right, now this image of the team of players kind of looks green or something. So we want to adjust the colors there. Go through the same pattern, layer, adjustment layer, hue and saturation. Swizzle with the dials till you find something that you think looks good. Now let's look at this timer. Basically, just selecting the sepia tone preset pretty much did the job. Now let's look at this picture of tools. The coloring's not too bad, but it's really dark. So let's add an adjustment layer that is a brightness or contrast adjustment layer. And here you can see we've only got 2 sliders, brightness and contrast. And again, just play with them and you can see the effect they have. A minute ago I said maybe we wouldn't need to change the colors, but now that I've changed the brightness, I've changed my mind, and I do think I need to change the colors. It seems too orange now. The good news is you can add another adjustment layer on top. Play with the dials again. That looks pretty good. And there you can see we have 2 adjustment layers. Now this picture of the birds is kind of too gray. Needs a little bit of warmer tone in there, so we can just do the same thing we did before. That looks good. The image of the chessboard has the same problem as the image of the tools. It's too dark. So let's adjust that. Good enough. And this image with the laughing child with the light bulb, again, it just looks like it's kind of black and white, so we want to add a little bit of sepia tone color to that. So I could probably keep working with these to make them match even better, but I'm going to stop that for a second to focus on something else. So I'm going to zoom in on the lower right hand corner of the image of the tightrope walkers, and for just a moment I'm going to turn off that adjustment layer so that we can see the original image. And when I do that, you can see that in the lower right hand corner there are these brightly colored pixels. That is the DALL-E signature. And so even though I want to adjust the colors of the image, I don't want to alter the signature. You can see that when I turn the adjustment layer back on again, that it's all the wrong colors. So the good news is this is really easy to fix. By default, adjustment layers come with a mask. So if I select that here so that the mask gets a little white border, then anywhere that I color in with the color black, the adjustment layer will not be applied. So I'm going to make sure that my foreground color is black. I'm going to choose a paintbrush that has well-defined edges. Make sure that my paintbrush size is suitable, and then just go over here and color over where that signature is. Now, if you wanted to be really fussy, you could click on Select and Mask, and then you could go into this masking interface to tidy that up so that the edge of the mask fits right next to where the signature is. And if I click OK, we go back into our normal view, and you can see now the mask is being applied. The colors of the image look right, but the signature is its original color. So we'll do that one more time with another one. Select the mask, use the paintbrush to color black over where that signature is. Go into Select and Mask to be a little bit fussy about the edges of the mask. So that's what you could do with all of the images so that the color changes, brightness changes that you're applying don't affect the signature. So here's what my poster looks like when I use the images directly from DALL-E. And here's what the poster looks like after applying adjustment layers to all of those images. Here's the before again, and after, before, and after. You can see it just looks a lot nicer. Everything has a similar color and brightness.